Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the vlog. My name is Vic. How are you? Thank you for taking some of the time out of your day to check this out. So if you've got yourself a brand new GoPro Hero 7, especially the black or the silver, you've probably been experimenting with the wide dynamic range or the super photo option. And to be fair, the shots in the properly lit condition are pretty okay, but did you know that with a little bit of work, in like a minute or two, you can actually make these photographs even better. All you got to do is grab a copy of Adobe Lightroom CC. You can get this on Android or iOS. It's for free. So let's get going. So the first step is to open Adobe Lightroom on your device of choice. I've opened Adobe Lightroom here, so I've got a whole bunch of pictures there. So we're going to tap the plus symbol down here, which means we're going to take something from our camera roll. So I've set up an album here with some images that we're going to use for grading. And I've got one here of St. Coleman's Cathedral. So this is straight out of the actual GoPro. This is the way the shot came out. So you can see there's a little bit of lens distortion there. And color-wise and the detail is pretty good. But let's make it better. So the first step we got to do is hit the presets. So we scroll along, hit presets. And then for that orange and teal look, which is a popular movie look, it's everywhere on Instagram. Let's hit turquoise and red. So we have instant orange and teal. But we can make this even better. So before we start going into the color, let's go fix the light and the shadows. So I'm going to tap light. We're going to look at the highlights. So we don't really need to bring the highlights up that much because most of the highlights are in the background here. If anything, we're going to drop them down a little bit. We're going to bring up the shadow detail. We're going to bring the blacks down another little bit. We're going to dial in some contrast. We can adjust the exposure if needs be. And now we've kind of got a pretty good looking image. So now let's go back into the color. Now we can adjust the white balance here so we can make it slightly warmer or cooler. Of course, this is down to you, and this whole tutorial is encouraging you to start fiddling around with your photographs. We can make it more vibrant or we can keep the saturation, but I'm going to leave these as is. Now the one that you really want to get into here is the mix. So I'm going to select a blue. So now if we start pushing towards the teal, we're going to make the sky that little bit more teal. We can adjust the saturation, which of course is going to make it more saturated or not. And then we can have the luminance, which is how bright or dark it is as well. So you got to keep stuff that's realistic. It can look a little bit fake in places. So we want to keep this orange and teal look going. So let's go to the orange here. Let's bring the hue here so we can make it a little bit redder if we want. We want to get that kind of sunlight. So we're in -8 in the hue. We can saturate it even more. We can desaturate it if needs be. So I'm going to leave this at -16. And again, like the luminance, we can make it darker or brighter. So you can see here how powerful Adobe Lightroom is on mobile. It's insanely powerful. I don't put anything up on Instagram without running it through this. So I'm going to select done here. Now, if we keep our finger on the screen, we can see what the original looked like. And now we can see the difference that we've made in just a couple of seconds. So the next step we're going to look at is the effects. So we can make it clarity. We can bring that up to about maybe 20. We can dehaze the image as well, which helps clearing out any haze that you might have, but it's a very subtle effect that you want to put in. And then to make your pictures pop, we want to use the vignette. So we're going to put the vignette back here just very slightly, because if you go all the ways, you can make it look like this, which is not the effect that we want to achieve, but we can make it pop here by bringing it down to about -30. So the final step here that we're going to do, and this is a biggie, is the geometry. So we can see that it's distorted. There's a lens distortion. And what we want to do is fix that lens distortion. So we're going to leave this one. We're going to look at the vertical. So we can see here that the whole cathedral is kind of tilting back. But by using the vertical distortion, we can actually bring it a little bit more forward. Same with the horizontal, again, depending on the distortion that you've got going on. So I'm not going to make too many adjustments here. We can change the aspect ratio if we want, but that's best left alone. And then the scale and the X and the Y offset. So the X and the Y offset are important. So that's going to where we're going to position. And then we've kind of got a pretty straight looking cathedral here compared to what it was, which was this. And now it's a little bit straighter, so we can make it even more straighter if we want. And then once we've this done, we need to go back over here to the left and select crop. And we need to crop this in. So we're getting rid of the bars and the background on the side where there is no image. Let's select the tick here. And that's it. Look at that. So now I'm looking at this going, maybe the shadows here could come up a little bit more. So let's go back to the light option. Let's go bring up the shadows a little bit more, or we can drop them down, but if we bring them up, we can see the detail is on the road here. Some of the detail has come back. And keep in mind, if you're a paid Adobe user as well in the Creative Cloud, you can actually just select a particular part and highlight or change any effect to that as well. So we could highlight just the road and start affecting the shadows or the highlights there. But in this case, this is the free version. You don't need to do any of that. So you can see we've made a pretty substantial change to our image. We've got a nice orange and teal look going. We fixed the distortion, and that now is a pretty good picture in my book, ripe for your Instagram. So we're going to render it out by selecting the share option. We're going to save to camera roll, and we're going to select maximum available. So it's going to take a while to render, a couple of seconds or so, depending on how fast your phone is, and that's it. So that's one option done. As you can see, that's really, really easy. Just move the sliders around. Turquoise and red is the key to all of this. And then on another picture here that I'm going to select the plus here. I'm going to go to our grading album that I've selected. So we can see here we've got a pretty low angle shot. We've got the sky. It's a little bit blown out. Again, this was taken with the GoPro Hero 7 Black. So first step, let's go to presets. Let's go to turquoise and red. And we can see we've instantly kind of got a teal look, but we can see that the sun here is a little bit blown out. So that's one of the highlights that needs to be brought down. So I'm going to select light. Let's bring down the highlights, and we can see we've recovered some detail and color information just from a GoPro Hero 7 Black. We can bump up the contrast here. We can bring up the shadows to bring back some of that detail in the grass. And then if we go to color, like the last one, we can adjust the white balance and the temperature, so we can make this warmer or cooler depending on the look that you want to go. And again, we're going back into the mix, going to select the blue. Let's push this a little bit to the teals, and then we need to bring the highlights back down just one more little bit. And then if you're still struggling with the highlights, you can start dropping the whites, and now you can see we've got a pretty good looking picture. So we've gone from this to this. So one more effect I'm going to put in here is the dehaze option. So we're going to dehaze, and keep in mind, use dehaze sparingly, because if we go right up to the full here, it kind of might look cool, but in the Instagram world, it's like, yeah, that's over filtered. So let's bring it back down a little bit. We can increase the clarity. And again, put in a little bit of vignette so it helps the image to pop. And that's more or less it. You can bring up the level of detail if you want, but keep in mind, depending on your phone, it's probably sharp enough already. So turquoise and red is in the preset. We've just kind of worked with the color here and the teals. And then if you want, you can select profiles. And there's a different bunch of profiles here that you can use as well. You can have some for your favorites. I normally use modern. So we can have 1, 2. So you can see the different effects, but I find 6 and 8 are probably the better ones. So 8 is that kind of faded look. And there you go. So it's as easy as that to get a pretty damn good orange and teal look for Instagram, all from a GoPro photo. And keep in mind, this will work with any photo that you take. Hopefully you guys have found that incredibly useful. I know trying to get the orange and teal look is very, very difficult, especially if you're just starting out. But as you can see, it is super easy to do in Adobe Lightroom CC. That's the mobile version on an iPhone 7. It's quick, it's free, and you've got no excuses. If you found this video anyway useful, if you've able to achieve some kind of orange and teal vibe for your pictures, or you've improved your GoPro photos in some way, then I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button, which is around there. Don't do it because I'm telling you, I'm not even asking. I'm saying if you think you'd like to see more videos from me, then the subscribe button, the notification bell, that would be amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. We will see you on the next episode of the vlog on Monday. And until then, don't stop fighting for yourself.